Welcome back. This is the Beer Lovers Podcast. No, I'm just messing with you. Welcome back. This is the Fantasy Extras Podcast. I am your host, Victor Freeze. As you can see, I'm all alone this week. Mariano quit the podcast. He said he doesn't like it no more. No, I'm just kidding. Mariano got super busy at work. He's missing this week. He sends his regards. He misses the fantasy family. He'll be back next week, though. He just had a bunch of stuff he had to catch up on at work. So it's just me. Hopefully you guys just enjoy just me this week. Let's see. I have two topics for you guys this week. I have Stardom Sit-em. You know how we do every week. And then I have the quarter one analysis. And that basically is we're just going over each position, noting the top players, my remarks on it, just how the season's going so far, and how we think it's going to end. And did it last year. If you catch that, then you know what it's all about. If not, if you're new to the podcast, and of course, you're in tune for a good episode because this is an in-depth episode. Gonna kick it off now with the Stardom Sit-em. For week 5, we're in week 5 already. Seems like the season's going by fast. Jesus Christ, I need to take a drink. Gotta clear the fogs out my throat. Excuse me. All right, so going on to my first Stardom, I have Brandon Ayuk, whatever, the 49ers rookie wide receiver. He's been productive in his first 2 starts, and even with the return of the two main receiving targets, Deebo Samuel and George Kittle, he's been productive. He put up. We all saw the highlight. He hurdled the dude for a touchdown. He's a playmaker, and he's a big body wide receiver. And especially if one of the backup quarterbacks starts, he's going to be a great target for him. And also, they have Miami this week, so he should continue the scoring this week. Moving on to my second Stardom, I have another wide receiver for you guys. It is DJ Moore over there in Carolina. He's simply going against a depleted secondary in Atlanta, and they're like on their 3rd string cornerbacks, bro. It's bad over there. Atlanta has like no secondary, so he should be able to take advantage of that. If not, there's some problems over there in Carolina. Going on to my third Stardom, I have Justin Herbert. This is a quarterback who held his own against Kansas City and Tampa Bay. And he's a young quarterback, and he's showing that he could go up against the best of them. He didn't win those games. However, he put up decent fantasy points in those games. And that's what we're here for. We don't care about wins, losses in this freaking fantasy world. I guess we do if it's our own team, but we don't care about what the NFL team does. He's going up New Orleans. He's going up New Orleans. He's going up against New Orleans this week, who gives up the second most fantasy points to quarterbacks, if you didn't know that. So definitely fire him up this week, or you can fire up Teddy Bridgewater going up against Atlanta and their non-existent secondary. I know the defensive coordinator over there is having a nightmarish season, especially with all the late games that they lost. I feel sorry for Atlanta. First the Super Bowl, now this. But there's the highlights. But speaking of Atlanta, the next player I have to start on Atlanta is not on the defense. He is a running back that we're all familiar with. It is Todd Gurley. Excuse me, you're going to have to deal with me in these pauses. I don't have Mariano to talk in between when I'm pausing. Todd Gurley. Excuse me. What was I talking about? Sorry, I'm blanked out there for a second. Todd Gurley looked like his vintage self last week. He put up 2 touchdowns. He didn't put up that many yards. However, he put up 19 fantasy points, I think. I believe so. That's more on the likely side, and Carolina gives up the second most fantasy points to running back. So I told you guys the previous week not to pick up Brian Hill, so I hope you guys didn't pick him up, because he's definitely, it's Todd Gurley season now in Atlanta. Excuse me. Going on to my last stardom, I have Justin Jefferson over there in Minnesota. He's simply going up against a depleted Seahawks secondary, and he's found his place in the offense. He replaced Diggs, nice, and he's taking advantage of it. Probably one of the better young rookie wide receivers coming out of that class. Going on to the sit-em column now. Sit-em and sip-em. Sit-em and sip-em. My first sit-em is Miles Sanders over there in Philadelphia. He hasn't been able to get it done this season. The Eagles' offense is looking atrocious, especially because they have so many wide receiver problems. I don't know how they beat the 49ers last week, but that's something else. And on top of that, he's facing a good defense in the Steelers, coming off a rest week because they didn't play last week because of the whole Tennessee COVID thing. So I am saying sit that boy Miles Sanders. Ooh, I gotta stop tapping on the table. It comes up on the podcast. I forget about that. Sorry, just looking at my list. Give me a second here. Bear with me. Going on to my next sit, I got Kenyon Drake. Like I said on previous podcasts, I said to get rid of this guy, get him off your team, abandon ship, sell high if you can. Well, there was no high so far, and that's my point, is he hasn't been able to get it done during the season, and he just doesn't look as explosive as he did late last season with Arizona. And Chase Edmonds is pushing him, and he couldn't get it done against the defense that gives up the second most rushing yards to running backs. So, I'm just saying sit him this week for sure. Going on to my next quarterback that I have to sit him, it is Ryan Tannehill over there in Tennessee. He's had the unfortunate outcome of dealing with COVID amongst his whole team, from the personnel to his teammates. Everyone has COVID on that team. There's like 20 players that have COVID on that team. It's so messed up. But yeah, all his wide receivers have COVID too, or either that or they're dealing with injury. And it also doesn't help that they're going up against a good team in the Bills that we know have a good defense. So, sit Ryan Tannehill this week. Should not be poised for a good game. Going on to my next sit, I'm going to have the Cowboys defense. And they have a good matchup on paper, right? They're going up against the Giants, and they're ranked second in giving up points to opposing fantasy defenses, right? However, this Cowboys defense is atrocious. Like, they'll find a way to let the opposing offense score. They're not a good defense. It might be one of the worst defenses in the league. So I know on paper it looks like a good matchup, but definitely do not start these guys this week. They might just let one of those Giants running backs get off for their first game, and then after that you can sell high on those guys. Going on to my next sit-em, I have Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham had an amazing game last week. The Browns are playing amazing, as another side note. We're finally seeing them in form that we were supposed to see last season, which was their Super Bowl season or whatever, but they fell short. They fired Freddie Kitchens, and that's all the motivation they needed. Odell looks like he's having a resurgence. I'm not gonna say he's not. Odell's looking nice. However, this week he's going up against the best defense in the league. And that was probably, honestly, the best game of the season he had last week. Odell should probably still have a decent season, but don't get all high. We're going to talk about him later. But don't be all high on Odell Beckham, okay? And that concludes our stardom sit-em for week 5. Hopefully that'll help you out in a couple of matchups. Make sure you check this out as soon as it drops, because it's dropping Thursday right before the games. And that concludes both of our topics for the week. This is the Fantasy Extras Podcast, week 5, episode, I forgot, 6, episode 6, right? The episode is one more than episode 6, I'll say. Don't fact check me, I don't know, whatever. Look it up. But, I appreciate you guys keeping me here, keeping me busy, making me come back week in, week out, answering all these questions. I love playing fantasy football. So it's great to do this podcast. I like helping other people out. I like helping you guys win games, win championships. We won championships last season, so let's do it this season, It's been a pleasure, you guys. Unfortunately, Mariano isn't here. He'll be back next week, though. So if you guys miss him, I know you like him better than me, of course. But yeah, this is the Fantasy Extras out, and good luck this week, y'all.